December 2004, a tsunami devastates Southeast Asia. In a moment of worst-case horror, lives and livelihoods are swept away. A tragedy of such magnitude requires a massive relief effort, and the face of the American response must be a statesman of stature.
Thank you all for coming.
President Bush appoints two former presidents to the task, his father and Bill Clinton. Together, the two men take to it with gusto.
They believe it's their moral responsibility, not only as former presidents, but as representatives of the United States of America. We are truly the one global leader. And with that comes responsibility to help people in dire need.
The two electoral rivals from 1992 strike an unusual partnership, and it clicks.
Barbara referred to him and introduced him the other night as my son, Bill, but maybe overstating it just a little bit. But
what did you feel about that relationship? Because it's sort of heralded now. People go, what an interesting, almost father-son relationship between you and the guy you beat.
Well, running against him actually was personally difficult for me. I didn't have any problem on the political differences we had.
That's what's wrong with Mr. Bush. His whole deal is you got to be for it or against it. You can't make it better. I believe we can be better.
But I liked him. And I'll tell you an interesting story. In 1983, the governors met in Maine. And then Vice President Bush hosted us. My daughter, who had just married, was 3 years old. And I introduced her to President Bush. And he said, "Hello, Chelsea." And she said, "Hello, where's the bathroom?" And the vice president took my daughter by the hand and walked her to the bathroom. That's the kind of guy he is.
Hi. How are you, you beautiful girl?
You know, our politics are very different. Our life experiences are very different. But at the core, he's a very good man.
It was once said of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers that he gave her class while she gave him sex appeal. Well, in this pairing, the senior Bush brings old-line decency. Clinton, the juice.
Should have seen him going town to town, country to country. Energizer Bunny here, he killed me.
Clinton's energy, wide-ranging friendships, and rock star status come together in 2005 in the creation of the Clinton Global Initiative. The idea was advanced by his chief of staff, Doug Band.
In the post-presidential years, Doug Band has helped Bill Clinton sort of organize almost a corporate enterprise that takes advantage of Bill Clinton's global brand.
Thank you so much for being here. What has been the key to keeping your leverage? Because you seem to have more now than you had, say, 10 years ago.
I think the secret is two things. I think, first of all, at the Global Initiative, you have to make it interesting. You have to not only make it possible for them to meet people who might help them, but to learn things. Secondly, I think you got to do something.
It's like Mr. Tata riding around in his solar car.
You don't have to change the world. If you change one life or 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, you've done something.
The annual conference brings in hundreds of leaders and organizations. Membership costs $20,000 and is limited to top executives. The goal is to get people to not just talk about changing the world, but committing to a specific action.
How you doing on the clean car stuff?
The way he's brought people together, I think he's doing something nobody else could do, and it's his own personal charisma that's sort of, I think, the linchpin for all of it, but then it's turned into actual change.
The idea is you've got to say what you want to do, be clear about it, and then get caught trying to keep it.
If we'd restored those wetlands, we could have avoided a lot of pain and suffering.
Our commitment this year was to empower young people across the country to be citizen journalists and to tell the human and environmental stories in their communities using new technologies.
I have an NGO called ASSET, the Alliance to Stop Slavery and End Trafficking, that I set up as a commitment here. And so every year I come and we try and get traction on what we're doing.
Last year when we were here, we were at a session talking about technology and how we make sure that technology reaches the poor. 300 million women across the world who could have access to mobiles are not getting it. And we're trying to reach 150 million of those women over the next 3 years.
Over the years, more than 1,900 commitments have been made, which the CGI says have improved the lives of 300 million people.
One of the things I think the president has really focused on is not the what, but the how. How do you actually make change happen? How do you get solutions on the ground?
The Global Initiative wants attendees to empower people to help themselves, whether they're providing eye care services to 20 million people in developing countries, building sustainable homes in hurricane-ravaged New Orleans, or bringing 1 billion gallons of clean water to Tanzania.
People are always feeling helpless in the face of these huge movements that are shaping their lives.
Ask her what she liked the best.
I really do think that asking people to do things and then helping them do it, it gives people confidence. It makes their lives make sense again because they did something. It's like planting your own garden, knowing you can grow food.
Bill Clinton's position in the world continues to grow. He's part dignitary, part humanitarian, part politician, part international statesman, and somehow greater than them all. In 2009, his diplomatic skills were put to the test in the most delicate of intercontinental missions.
He just grabbed them and held them and told them that, things would be okay and we would get them out.